Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to Monster Analysis on Stormbeard. It looks like Varna and Cavenfish have competition. Stormbeard has a magnificent ship, the Thunder of the Seven Seas. He's elegantly dressed and he has skills that will crush any pirate, and in fact, any monster of the water element. With a description like that, you would think this monster had like some sort of water hater, maybe sea hater trait, maybe some powerful thunder-based attacks, or that this monster is an attacker. But actually, he's a deny monster and a pretty darn good one at that. So Stormbeard, let's just jump right into it. His power is 3311, which isn't a very impressive power by any means. It's actually on the rather low end for thunder monsters and just monsters in general. So he's not an attacker. His life stat is 30,763, which is above average for thunder monsters, but nothing too like incredible or anything. His speed stat, on the other hand, I know it doesn't look that impressive, but it actually is. In the Thunder category specifically, this is the 4th highest speed stat. It's tied with Xylo the Faithful. Actually, let me just go down the list. We have Mercurius with 3663, Hyde the Boltcaster, which really shouldn't be there, with 3509, and Thorder with 3509. Thorder, really? Come on. The breedable monster, no other monster has really outsped him. Come on. Anyhow, after Stormbeard, we have the monsters that have a 3476 base speed, which include monsters like Thyra, Griffin, Alex Bone, Teskata, Yenteg, RO Foul, and that's pretty much it. Then we jump into monsters that have a base speed of 3465, but I won't get into those. With that being said, of the monsters I mentioned, Alex Bone, he has an AoE stun. Yenteg, he has a double stun. Griffin, I believe, also has an AoE stun, or maybe just AoE blind. But as you can see, the fast deniers don't outspeed Stormbeard, who is the new fastest denier in the Thunder category, with the exception of Hyde the Boltcaster. So let's just exclude the Nemesis for now. That's what makes Stormbeard amazing. 3498 base speed in the Thunder category. He's officially the fastest denier, not counting Hyde the Boltcaster. And on top of that, he's one of the newer monsters, meaning he has 2 traits. He has tough and blind immunity. Awesome, because now total blind has become one of the more competitive deny skills, and having blind immunity protects him from total blind. And not to mention, it also protects from minor blind and just regular blind, which really are a hassle to deal with. This monster is in the Sea Book, so he is a water killer now because he's in the Sea Book. He's also a good Legions monster. He can hold the Trap Relic and the Staff Relic, and that just opens his doors up to different things. With the Trap, he can run Oblation Trap. If his HP falls below 50%, he drains stamina from the enemy team. He can start off with a Pestilence Trap, which will reduce the enemy's max HP at the beginning of the battle. With the staff, he can do so much. If you have Cannon of Atlantis, you pretty much don't have to worry about stamina for your whole entire team. If you're an Oblation Staff, you can drain stamina from the enemy team when you attack them. So if you do an AoE skill, everyone can lose up to 108 stamina if you have it fully ranked up. Look at that. When hitting, removes 108 stamina from all targets. So this all really depends on what you have, what you don't have to work with. Here's Cannon of Atlantis. Let me rank it up. Let me just rank it up all the way. 135 points of stamina is given to all targets. If any ally's life is below 50, if any ally's stamina is below 50%, that's just so darn incredible. And so yeah, this monster is starting off pretty darn strong. Some bonus points for his default skills. Why are pirates so cool? Because they are just absolutely amazing, incredible default skills. This monster, it's worth having 2 copies just to run the default skills. That being said, his ultimate is King of the Seven Seas, which deals heavy thunder damage to all enemies, and it removes 100% of stamina from all enemies, and it also applies bleeding to all enemy monsters. 100% stamina, AoE ultimate, what more could you ask for? It also does bleeding on top of that, and it also deals 60 thunder based damage. Pretty good darn ultimate in my opinion. Default, his skills group 1 skill isn't anything worth talking about, so on to skills group 2. And let me just say, I personally believe this monster has his skills group 2 and 3 to choose from. Any combination of these 6 skills will be pretty good. Obviously, there's some skills that in my personal opinion are must-haves. I think it's only 2 of them, and the other 2 you can pretty much run whatever you think will benefit you more. So let's start off. No landlubber here. Activates all cooldowns on one enemy, applies bleeding to an enemy, requires cooldown. No damage, 20 stamina cost, 3 turn cooldown. It's a single cooldowns activated and a bleeding skill. In my personal opinion, I think this skill could come in handy. I think you could consider running it because he does have another skill that's an AoE version. Obviously, that's your must-have. But the reason a skill like this could come in handy is because after you do your other skill that's an AoE cooldowns activated, you always have to think about, what do I need to do in my second turn? What is the best thing I can do? Sometimes it's going to be activating a cooldown again on a single enemy monster, as opposed to activating like a guard down on everyone as opposed to draining their stamina. Sometimes just doing a single cooldowns activated is better than that, because with regards to draining stamina, maybe they have a relic that can recover their stamina. So even if you drain their stamina, it won't come, like, that doesn't help you out too much. And let me just talk about the other skills and I'll go back to this thought. So Way Anchors deals moderate special damage to one enemy, removes 100% stamina from one enemy, requires cooldown. 40 damage, 60 stamina cost, extremely high, and a fortune cooldown. Both the stamina cost and the cooldown are extremely high for this skill, and it's just a 100% stamina drain. Now, again, considering this monster can hold the staff relic, you could argue that the stamina cost isn't that big of a deal, and that's pretty true, although it is a pretty steep cost. Although again, like, sometimes draining 100% of stamina is extremely useful, especially considering that you can look at that monster, you can click on the monster and see that it doesn't have any sort of relic that can recover its stamina. So this is where a skill like this could come in handy. But again, back to with what I was saying, let's say that monster does have some sort of staff relic that can recover its stamina. Using a skill like Way Anchor isn't that beneficial. If you, let's say turn 1 you did cooldowns activated, that monster went, it had to recharge, and now it's your turn to go again, and that monster is going to get a turn on the following turn. If you know that monster had a 1 cooldown attack, maybe it's like a 65 damage attack, he can potentially kill you. So it would be smart to activate the cooldowns again as opposed to draining stamina, because they have a staff relic which will recover stamina, so draining stamina doesn't really deny him. So it really depends. It's all very situational. Both of these skills, in my opinion, can be useful. It really depends on what do you think is going to be more useful. What do you think you're going to get better usage out of? Let's keep on going. Go for the Sails, deals moderate thunder damage to one enemy, applies guard down to all enemies. This is what makes this skill amazing. Guard down isn't just to that one enemy monster you attacked, it's to everyone. Guard down makes it so your attacks always land. This is extremely useful, especially in a world where there's so much like negative accuracy out there. There's blind, there's daze, there's minor blind, there's just like the fact that regular accuracy is 90, AoE skills are 90, so that guard down could come extremely handy. It could save your butt. But again, you have to ask yourself, is that really something you're going to do on the second turn? Because on the first turn, you're going to do AoE cooldowns activated. So are you really going to do guard down on your second turn when you can 100% stamina drain, when you can potentially cooldowns activated? I don't know. We haven't even gotten to skills group 3. But again, all of these skills, in my opinion, they're pretty darn good. But moving on to skills group 3, we have a 40 damage thunder based AoE that also applies bleeding to all of the enemy team. Pretty darn cool considering he's a thunder monster in the C book with a thunder based 40 damage AoE that also applies bleeding. That being said, this is probably the least impressive skill from his skills group 3 skill set, and even like compared to some of the skills group 2, I think I would pick some of these over Dangerous Buccaneer. However, the one thing this skill does have going for it is the fact that it is an AoE skill, and it's actually his only AoE skill that deals damage. And the only reason this is significant is because, going back to the fact that he can hold a relic, the only way for Oblation Staff to actually drain stamina from all the enemy team is if it hits everyone. If it's a single target AoE, which, and by that I mean if it attacks a single enemy but has an AoE effect, only the one monster you target is the one that will lose the stamina. When it's an actual AoE skill that attacks multiple enemies, that's when all of them will lose their stamina. So this is like one potential reason you could run Dangerous Buccaneer. So the thing about Monster Legends is that it's so complex now, where you don't just look at a skill and like, oh yeah, this skill's good because it has this effect. No, now you need to look at skills and how can they interact with the certain relics your monster can hold. So that's why I think people shouldn't be too quick to disregard Dangerous Buccaneer. I think it is a potential skill you could run if you have the right relic, if you have the right ideas and strategies to use with this monster. Overall though, if you're not planning to use an Oblation Staff on him, then you probably could go without running Dangerous Buccaneer. Moving on to Land Ho, this skill is just phenomenal. Activates cooldowns on all enemies and applies bleed to enemies, requires cooldown. 45 stamina cost, 3 turn cooldown. It activates the cooldown. That alone is incredible for a thunder monster. Such a fast thunder monster to have a cooldown activated. That's what we've been waiting for. It also applies bleed. This monster really loves to equip bleed on the enemy team. He is Kane's best friend. Kane and this monster would work wonderfully together. But anyhow, it goes without saying, this is your must-have skill. If there's any skill you're going to want to run on this monster, be sure to run Land Ho. Moving on, we have Krakens Blessing. Deals heavy thunder damage to one enemy, removes 50% from all enemies, 50% stamina from all enemies, 50 damage, 40 stamina cost, 3 turn cooldown. yeah, his stamina costs are pretty steep. But again, this is what I was talking about. This skill deals damage to a single enemy monster, and even though it drains stamina from everyone, if you were to have Oblation Staff, it would only drain stamina from the one enemy monster you target. If Krakens Blessing was an AoE, I think it could have been way better, because then you would definitely not need to run Dangerous Buccaneer if you did run an Oblation Staff. But yeah, anyhow, we have Krakens Blessing. I would personally say that these two skills would be your must-have skills, and after that, you can honestly pretty much run whatever you want to run. It's up to you. Do you want to run a single cooldowns activated? Do you want to run a 100% stamina drain skill? Do you want to run an AoE guard down essentially? Or do you want to run an AoE bleeding that really you only get benefit if you run an Oblation Staff? The choice at the end of the day is up to you. I think most people are going to go with a skill set involving Land Ho, Go for the Sails, Weigh Anchors, and Krakens Blessing. Or I don't know, maybe you're one of those persons that think you don't really need the guard down, especially because by the second churn, already one or two of the enemy monsters are going to be dead, so there's no reason to guard down. You're better off draining stamina with Weigh Anchor, or you're better off, or maybe you think you're better off reactivating the cooldowns. So I don't know, maybe another potential skill set could be to run Land Ho, Weigh Anchor, no Landlubber here, and then one of these two skills, Krakens Blessing, I think what most people will lean to. Or maybe you're like, I don't need a 50% stamina drain, I'd rather go with these single deny skills after I do Land Ho, and I want that opportunity to have guard down, that way my attacker can land his attack, or my treachery monster can land their attack. I don't know, for the most part, I think it's going to be some combination of these 5 skills. And again, don't just completely disregard Dangerous Buccaneer. It can be used in the right way. Overall, I'm a huge fan of Stormbeard. He also has a fantastic monster design. I love this monster a lot. If you were to run this monster, you want to give him 3 speed runes. You want him to go first. You want him to activate cooldowns activated, AoE cooldowns activated, and bleeding. And then he has a lot of versatility. He's in the C book. He's in the Good Legion book. He's a great monster. He can hold great relics. And now I want to hear from all of you guys. What do you guys think about Stormbeard? What runes would you give this monster? And also what skill set would you give this monster? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you all next time.